was in New York. I'll take the little one. That one we'll save for the deities. Hare Krishna. Okay. It's the next verse, Maharaj. 20, that's yesterday's. 24. No, 24. Oh, it's going to switch completely. Yeah, we're on 10:53:24. That's it. Yeah. Apimai. Yeah, someone switched. Yeah. 24. 10:53. That's the correct verse. 53. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dari Jaya Jana Vallabha Girivada Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dari Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana 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 Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dari Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Udanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pavlikacharya Satara Sada Shishimana Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premsiko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurani Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 53. This is text number 24. This is the chapter entitled Krishna Kidnaps Rukmini. And this is a section where Sri Rukmini Devi is speaking about Krishna's delayed arrival. Api mayana vadyatma Drishtva kinchit jigupsitam matpani grahane nunam yayati hi kritodyama api mayana vadyatma Drishtva kinchit jigupsitam Matpani grahane nunam Nayati hi kritodyama Api mayana vadyatma Drishtva kinchit jagupsitam Matpani grahane nunam Nayati hi kritodyama. Panigrane nanam. Ayati hi kritojama. Api maya vivat. Drishvad ginchit gupsitam. Matpani grane nunam. Nayati kritojama. Api maya yanajatma. Drishtva kinchit jagupsitam. Matpani grahane nunam. Nayati kritojama. Ayayanatma. Drishva kinchit jagupsitam. Matpani grahane nunam. Nayati kritojama. Api, perhaps, mai, in me, anavadya, faultless, atma, he whose body and mind, drishtva, seeing, kinchit, something, jagupsitam, contemptible, mat, my, pani, hand, grahane, for the taking, nunam, indeed, na ayati, has not come, he certainly, krita udyama, krita udyamaha, even though originally intending to do so. Translation and purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Perhaps the faultless Lord, even while preparing to come here, saw something contemptible in me, and therefore has not come to take my hand. Please repeat. Perhaps the faultless Lord, even while preparing to come here, saw something contemptible in me, and therefore has not come to take my hand. Purport. Princess Rukmini boldly invited Sri Krishna to kidnap her. When Rukmini did not see him come, she naturally feared that he had rejected her proposal, perhaps finding some unacceptable quality in her. As expressed here, the Lord himself is anavadya, faultless. And if he saw some fault in Rukmini, she would be an unworthy bride for him. It was natural for the young princess to feel such anxiety. Furthermore, if Sri Krishna had actually made this decision, it would be natural for the Brahmana to fear Rukmini's reaction were he to bring her the news, and that would explain why he had not come. I'm going to read Jiva Goswami's commentary also, because the purport is essentially the same as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Jiva and Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami's tikas are about the same. So Jiva Goswami writes, in great pain she imagines another reason for the Lord and the Brahmana not coming. Perhaps nunam, he has not come because though he is without faults, like hard-heartedness, he has seen something faulty in me. Because he is merciful, he started to come, but then he did not. Or, according to Harivamsa, after hearing Rukmini's choice of a husband, Krishna thought of leaving Mathura for Kandina, where Indra had previously performed a ceremony enthroning Krishna while Shishupal and others fled. the Brahmana was delayed because Krishna delayed. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyanan Shalakaya Chakshur Unmetam Jnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminita Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nirvasesa Shunyavadi Prasachadishani Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Vipa Sindhu Bhyebacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. The Lord is anavadya, or faultless. And at this point, Rukmini is feeling, although she is perfect, because she's a pure devotee and has a perfect relationship with Krishna in Madhurya Bhav, in Madhurya, her Sthai Bhava is love for Krishna in the romantic mood, not the same as the gopis. This is Sthai Bhava. I mean, not Sthai Bhava. This is the married mood is. I can't remember what is the married mood of what? Sakya Bhav. Yeah, not Parakya. The Sakya Bhav. So she has some, as Maharaja said, idea of Aishvarya, that Krishna is great. Whereas the cowherd girls are just playing with Krishna, the teenager, and he's a boy, and he's not so great. He's great, but he's not great like a king. But Krishna is now great like a king or a prince. And so she's feeling some anxiety. And this anxiety, of course, is given in our scriptures as part of what are called Vyabhachari Bhavas. Vyabhachari Bhavas, they're fleeting, moving emotions that feed the Sthai Bhava. So that the Madhurya, the sweetness of love, it becomes spiced with the Vyabhachari Bhavas. Just like if we have a nice preparation, it may be very nice, but the spicing makes it even more relishable. And in this case, this is a situation where we might also call it, we will call it Purva Rag. This is before they've met. This is analogous to the gopis in Vrindavan before they actually met Krishna, when they were seeing Krishna dancing on the heads of Kaliya, and the first awakenings of this sweet love, Madhurya Ras, come in their hearts. And here it's not quite the same. It's because Rukmini doesn't see Krishna, but she's heard of Krishna and she knows of Krishna, and she's now approaching Krishna, but they haven't met yet. And of course, prem, this highest love, it's dependent upon this dainya, or humility. So she's very humble here, saying, oh, the Lord is faultless, but I somehow maybe have a fault that he doesn't want to actually interact with me. And she's also in anxiety, which is chinta, because the marriage is going to happen soon, and he may not be here to save me, and I'm going to have to marry this wretched Shishupal, who's just an awful person, and she's agitated, avega. I mean, just imagine, you're going to be saved by your hero, and he's not here yet, and the time is ticking down. Movies do that. They have these movies where the bomb is defused, 8 seconds before it's going to go off, or the lovers, they're saying goodbye, and he's getting on a train. It's the end of the movie, and all of a sudden everybody's saying, what's going to happen? And she jumps on the train too, and they're happy. But the whole point is, these emotions in the material world are reflections of these perfect emotions. And she's also, there's atsukya, or longing. She's really longing to see Krishna. So these rich emotions that are felt in the spiritual world, this is actual spiritual life. Spiritual life is not a negation of personality and feeling, but actually it is the exaltation of perfect personality and perfect feelings. Prabhupada alludes to this in many places. And in one place that it was I really was a little surprised to see how I was going to use this in the class today, but it happened to be on Friday night speaking. We were teaching or discussing at our group meeting in the evening the very famous Bhagavad Gita verse from chapter 4, verse 11. Ye yatam mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manusha parta sarvashaha. All surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prita. And this verse, Prabhupada's purport, has so many hints about higher levels of love of Krishna, and so much information about how persons in the material world really can't understand it because of the material covering. And so Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the transcendental world, this is just parts of it, in the transcendental world, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as a supreme master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna awards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with different types of worshipers. So then he goes on to say that pure devotees, both in the spiritual world and here, associate with Krishna in person, and they can render service unto him, here or there. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's appearing here, he's also there. But his appearance here is to teach us how to behave and understand the life there. So when he says something like aparada gucci, harinama ruchi, that please remove my aparads and give me a taste for the name, we know that he has no aparad and he has taste for the name, but he's speaking on behalf of us who do have aparad and still lack the taste. Prabhupada goes on to say, other types of people who are following other types of understandings. As for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating their individual existence of the living entity, Krishna also helps by absorbing them into his effulgence. So, people think, I have relationships in this world, and they're not very fulfilling. They're fulfilling short term. They may have there may be some happiness derived there. But even though they could be happy, death comes to take our lover away, or take our son away, or take our mother away, or whatever. And therefore, there's so much suffering involved. Because in this material world, emotions like anxiety and fear, they're not enlivening. They're actually are causes of great pain. Because in the material world, there is actually danger. Because we're living in this illusion that I'm this body, and this body cannot endure. And this body will not be healthy. And this body will be subjected to so many issues. It's not the case in the spiritual world, where everything is also always centered on Krishna. Then Prabhupada goes on. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal, blissful personality of Godhead. They don't accept the fact that they could have a pure, loving relationship just like Rukmini's having. and with a lot of variety and a lot of spice, very, very relishable. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. And then he says that some don't even get that far. Some of them, who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence, return to this material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. So if you can't have activities in the spiritual world, then you must have activities here in the material world, because that's the nature of the soul, which is to be active. And if you're an impersonalist, you can maybe deactivate the desire for activities for a certain period of time. But as Prabhupada says, you can't stay fixed in that. And where you have to end up is back here in the material world where there's activities. Prabhupada would give those examples of sannyasis, impersonal sannyasis, who supposedly have reached the highest level of realization, but then they're building hospitals and schools and running welfare programs, which are perfectly all right, but they're material. And some of them are doing some things that aren't perfectly all right, like womanizing or taking intoxication. So the fact is that one falls down from this platform. And then he also speaks about who are just fruitive workers. And for the fruitive workers and the mystic yogis, well, first the fruitive workers, he says all they want to do is simply engage in their prescribed duties so that they can somehow enjoy on the heavenly planets. And the yogis want to gain some powers. So all these things, they're impediments to pure love of God. And one has to become freed from that. And that's where we have association with pure devotees, the Bhagavatam, the chanting of the holy name, the living in the Dham, and worshiping the deity. This has been described over and over again, that Rupa Goswami gives these 5 elements that we surround ourselves in so that we can actually overcome these impediments which are there. Many of us, including myself, came to Krishna consciousness from transiting through these other things. There was a period of time I never really thought I could become God. Thank God that didn't happen. But there was a lot of period of time I thought, well, God's just an energy, and we'll just merge as like little sparks in that energy, and we just float around, and it's some kind of cosmic mush or something forever. And this is a product of the misunderstandings we have in this material world. So the Bhagavatam is meant to clear that up, to give us real understanding. So I was looking at the 10th canto, and in the 10th canto, of course, there's so many different descriptions of the pastimes of different devotees and in Vrindavan. And one particular very nice description is of the cowherd boys who are playing with Krishna. Yes, it's 10, 12, and it's verses 7 through 11. And I'm going to sort of paraphrase the first few verses, because I won't read every single thing here. But it talks about how the boys, this is from the chapter of where Dhenukasura is killed, how they had fun by imitating the birds, by in taking the postures of the swans and sitting next to the ducks and imitating the peacocks, and attracting monkeys in the trees and swinging in the trees and imitating monkeys, and going to waterfalls and jumping with the frogs, and seeing their own reflections in the water and laughing, and hearing their echoes and condemning the echoes. And in this way, the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of the Brahman effulgence for the jnanis desiring to merge into that effulgence. So this is how they're just playing with Krishna. And the jnanis are working really hard just to somehow get to the point when they can get into this sort of non-differentiated existence with Krishna, with the Brahman. And so in this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of the Brahman effulgence, for the Jnanis desiring to merge into that effulgence, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead for devotees who have accepted eternal servitorship. So some have an Aishvarya mood in Vaikuntha, and who, for ordinary persons, is but another ordinary child. For the materialists, like the academics who read the Bhagavatam, and say, well, Krishna is symbolic for this or that, or some kind of strange, concocted interpretation. The cowherd boys, having accumulated the results of pious activities for many lives, were able to associate in this way with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can one explain their great fortune? I mean, they took different positions with Krishna, sometimes superior, sometimes inferior. They would get, we don't hear all the pastimes, but you can just imagine. There's probably, incidents where they're teasing Krishna, or there's incidents where Krishna's teasing them. It's just the fun of boys. And sometimes there may be, people fall down and scratch their knees or something, But it's all in the spiritual world, and it's fun. And in the next verse, number 12, completes the idea here. Yogis may undergo severe austerities and penances for many births by practicing yama, niyam, asana, pranayam, none of which are easily performed. Yet in due course of time, when these yogis attain the perfection of controlling the mind, they will still be unable to taste even a particle of dust from the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What then can we describe about the great fortune of the inhabitants of Rajabhumi Vrindavan, with whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally lived and who saw the Lord face to face? And then Prabhupada writes in a very pithy, short purport, we can simply imagine how the great fortune of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, it is impossible to describe how, after many, many births of pious activities, they have become so fortunate. Of course, we know that they are eternally associates of the Lord. So what is this many, many births of pious activities? Yes, we could say many, many births of pious activities, but it means for us, how fortunate it would be for us to engage in devotional service, even if it takes many, many births, to become so fortunate that we can have a relationship with Krishna like the ones we're reading about, like these wonderful relationships. But it's difficult to have this realization or understanding, because while we're here in this material world, especially in Kali Yuga, the proper atmosphere by which to enter into a relationship with the Supreme Lord just isn't there. We don't have the ability ourselves. The environment is so grossly materialistic that it prevents us from finding the sort of peaceful place, like what was it? The other day we were hearing from Daivir Prabhu about how in Satya Yuga everyone was a Hamsa or a Paramahamsa. They all just sat around. They all were in meditation on Vishnu, and there was no vice, and the whole world was simply primed perfectly for pure devotional service or for pure meditation. And this begs us to ask this question: where were we in that Satya Yuga? We certainly weren't humans. We were not fortunate to have that opportunity. But we're fortunate to have the opportunity of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays in the song Kabhi Habhi Bolo Se Dinamore, he says, when will he states in one place, when will Nityananda Prabhu be merciful to me and deliver me from the enchantment of Maya, of sense objects? When will he give me the shade of his lotus feet and the right to enter in the marketplace of the holy name, Nam Hata? So this becomes the real understanding, that our entrance into these higher realms of real spiritual life, like even the spiritual, now we're out of Vrindavan, this is the Dwarka mood now, but this mood is also totally personal, totally connected. Rukmini Devi is experiencing these wonderful emotions that can't be understood by anyone living in the material world. And how to enter into that consciousness is done only through the mercy of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai. And Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, they've given us the process. And this process has been handed down to us through the disciplic succession. We have Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, who are the most recent carriers of this secret, which is surrender to the Supreme Lord through Gaur Nitai, through the chanting of Hare Krishna. And in the Manashiksha, I'm just going to read a few parts of it. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult to approach Radha Krishna. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact. And anyone who engages in the transcendental loving service of Lord Nityananda immediately achieves their transcendental position on the spiritual platform, which is eternal and blissful. Therefore, always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. And what is catching the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda? It's not an intellectual process. It's Jagai and Madai falling at his feet, lowly, fallen, without any ability to, they weren't scholars. They were just rogues. They weren't even even big demons. They were just rogues. Just like the dregs of the society. At least Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, they had some kind of decorum. They were they dressed well, they handled themselves well, they could have diplomacy. They were kings. These were just like gutter people. So that when they surrendered just by the emotion of love that they were getting from Lord Nityananda. So we have to know that this is how we have to surrender. Lord Nityananda is the Akhanda Guru. He's the original Guru. Sometimes there's some controversy. Who's the Guru? What's the Guru? It's depending on which Sangha you go to, you hear so many. But we can understand from what Srila Prabhupada taught us that the bona fide Guru is that Guru who is representing Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is delivering the opportunity for us to surrender to Lord Nityananda unconditionally through his words, through his teachings, through his example. And therefore, the Guru himself, it's an offense to see a Guru on a relative platform. It's an offense to see, this Guru's got this problem or that problem. It's right in the nectar of devotion. Some defect, that's irrelevant. It's the Guru who, by his surrender or her surrender to their Guru, who's able then to deliver the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. And it can be delivered in many ways. It can be delivered through philosophy, it can be delivered through deity worship, it can be delivered through prasadam, it can be delivered through a loving relationship. That's why it's important that we have a loving relationship with the Guru, and that the Guru is given, and the Guru has a loving relationship with us. That's like-mindedness. There's some snigdha there. There's some affection. In fact, affection is so important in Krishna consciousness that we need to understand that it's through the affection for devotees and their affection for us that these qualities of devotion become fostered. And if we can find that person who is more advanced than us, who has affection for us, That person then can give us instruction, and that instruction will be effective because of the relationship. And therefore, there's Shiksha gurus, there's Diksha gurus, there's associates, there's mentors. But it's important to understand that this emotional understanding that we see that the pure devotees in the spiritual world have can't be gotten by some sort of mechanical process, by some sort of willing it to happen. But it can only come when it's given to us by an advanced devotee. And then we may not be so advanced, but if we have a little attachment to this advanced devotee as our service to this advanced devotee, like Srila Prabhupada, we may be able to reach out and give the opportunity for someone to understand. I mean, at this program we were at on Friday, there was one gentleman there. He was a very nice man. He was the father of one of the hosts. And he was sort of playing devil's advocate, asking many, many questions. But there was really some doubt there. And basically, he wanted to say, well, why do I have to worship Krishna when I follow Dharma perfectly? So how does Krishna, ye yatamam prapajante, protect me? So I said, well, he protects you if you have this understanding by giving you a very good birth in the heavenly planets or wealth and prestige. But if you don't surrender to Krishna personally, the entrance into the spiritual world isn't going to be there. But he still protects you because you're following Dharma. But then I told the story of King Nirga, and that kind of cleared things up a little bit. That you can follow Dharma but still end up a lizard. So it was a very nice, lively discussion. He was not inimical trying to defeat anybody. He was just, as I say, playing devil's advocate, but I think there's a little bit back there that really he meant what he said. So let's all try to help each other become Krishna conscious. And remember that we need the mercy of Lord Nityananda, the original spiritual master, and that we need to surrender to our Guru. And our Guru will deliver us to the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda by the grace of his Guru and the Parampara. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yeah, let me refer. Rudrani makes this point about the Bhagavad Gita. We should never underestimate the Gita. Oh, it's just the beginner's book. Well, the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna's words, and the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, are Prabhupada's words. And these words are always transcendental. And they're not so simple. They're deep. They're teaching us everything at every moment through their words. Jai, Hare Krishna.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha ako ikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Asa Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham
Amen. Namo Vishnu Pataya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Sammaniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurumani Vacha Nagini Sesha Shunyavati Masya Jagate Sacharanai Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gauravakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gauravakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gauravakta Vrinda Chaitanya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Goloka Nana Rana, Goloka Nana Radhe. Jaya Radha, Goloka Nana Rana, Goloka Nana Radhe. Jaya Radha. Hey, Hare Run, Jayarante. Rade, 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 Rade. Jai Om Vishnu Pad.
Chaito Darpanam Marjanam Bhavamahagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratihanam Purnamrita Swaranam Sarvatmasnatanam Parvijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amita Sarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Hamani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamae Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vapata Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nainam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gadgadaridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahaneba Vishyati Yugayatam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyavapanamritam Anastumam Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is free to do anything and everything, for he's always my Lord. Unconditionally, Shri Shastika Ki Jai.